Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to 303 Squadron, Battle of Britain, which is a new, I'm not even really sure what to call it. It's not a hardcore flight simulation game, but it's also not really an RPG. I guess it would be kind of a mostly arcadey kind of flight simulation game with a little bit of RPG elements built into it. But I'm returning to it because when I played it previously, I did do a first look video on this game, and when I played it previously, it didn't support joysticks, so you weren't able to use joysticks in the game when you were trying to fly, and that was a pretty serious limitation for a game that purports to model air combat in anything but the most arcadey of manners. And since then, they have released a couple of patches, the most recent one, which does include joystick support. So I did go ahead and map my joystick to the game, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to be playing this and doing some flying around with joysticks. In addition to that, there also are some other enhancements to this. You can see this is the second item I'm looking at here that's giving some information, second item that we're reading. And it seems like they've added these little, I don't know if I want to call them Easter eggs, but these little nuggets of information and additional things you can interact with on the airbase. So again, as a refresher, 303 Squadron gives you the ability to sort of act as a mechanic and adjust, how your plane's guns are sort of angled, how they're going to, their firing pattern, if you will. And they're also going to allow you to navigate around this realistic and reportedly authentic method for moving around this airbase. So this airbase that you're on is a recreated historical airbase that the 303 Squadron fought on or flew out of in England during the Battle of Britain. And so you also have that ability to kind of navigate around this map. And again, in almost like an RPG like mannerism. So I think that's kind of interesting. See here. You also have this sort of mechanic element where you can do things like change your firing pattern or whatnot. So that's actually what I'm going to do right now. We're going to go ahead and click on this. I think. Oh, I'm uninstalling things. Well, that's not what I meant to do. All right, so what do we want to do here? Do we want to close pattern, downward spread? How do we want to have our bullets sort of... We have the close pattern, which gives us a range at about 150 yards. I think the next battle we're actually going to be fighting against enemy bombers. But I think I'd want a little bit more range here. Let's do this. Let's do the far point. Distance is good. The spread's pretty minimal, so you're going to have to be somewhat accurate. That may be a challenge for me, but we'll see. So we're going to go with that. I don't know what else I need to do. Installed parts. Alright, so that's installed again. I don't quite know if I can change my guns or anything like that. There's a mechanic element for the engine as well, but I think that's probably good. So yeah, that's what we just went ahead and modified our shooting pattern where our bullets all converge. We're going to play the realistic flight model. We're going to play normal difficulty. And we're going to start the mission here with joystick support. So we had that initial sort of repeat please scene from the Battle of Britain in our last video where we engaged enemy fighters. We were using the mouse. And now we're on to our first raid against German bombers. So I'm trying to close in on these guys. Way too close. I'm going to get shredded by their... Also, my gunfire is going to just sail way past them. I should really have my headset on so I can hear what the hell's happening. Yeah, don't just sit stationary behind the enemy bombers like I'm doing right now. Sniper! This the other thing this game does is it has this like weird like slow-mo zoom in World of Warships or World of Tanks like animation here where you can sort of see what you just did. So it tells us that essentially that we shot down that enemy fighter or enemy bomber, but it's also a little bit difficult because the game you keep flying while this is happening. So yeah, that can be interesting. Crash! I thought I was crashing, but apparently I just managed to avoid hitting him and diving around. You can see I can zoom in here as I'm flying. We're about 700 yards off. Rapidly closing from under the bomber. Again, tail approaches a bit risky. Yawing in this game is challenging. It was more challenging with a mouse where things, you know, like you weren't, but just staying on target. I'm swinging back and forth. Oh no, I just crashed into him. All right, that was a failure. Restart the mission, but I want to go to the options because for whatever reason, the one thing that I really don't like is the way that the controls manage your throttle. Which, if we go back to key binding here, I thought I had throttle allowing me to use the mouse wheel. Apparently not. F down, R up. Okay. Mouse wheel also. And then the controller access, which is for the joystick. All right. That works. I always like going a little bit lower on the throttle. This firing pattern of long distance may not be the best thing for me. I'm not very effective in the first place, but let's... The close range was also not giving me. I was kind of playing a little bit before this. There we go. You can see all these bullets just sailing by, and every time you get like a critical hit on one of these things, it does this whole little spiel where it shows you the spot in the enemy aircraft that you hit that caused the fatal damage. So we know that plane's going to crash. Meanwhile, I'm still flying. You can see we closed the distance very rapidly. So that, and I haven't found a way where I can like click out of it. So I'm not sure. We're coming down on this one. Let's swing this one. Oh, another one's going down. I don't know if that was my hit or one of my compadres. Probably shouldn't just hold the trigger down either. Alright, let's... We're gonna black out. Alright. So we've got this little radar thing. The engine's running really rough. We're at like 100% throttle, so that might be why. You can see there are German fighters around that will kind of close in behind me if I'm not careful. We've got an engine temperature reading in the bottom right. Your engine can overheat if you don't do anything. If you kind of run at 100% all the time, it will overheat. You can see these barrage balloons are up where the bombing target is, and we've got one enemy bomber left we've got to destroy for this mission. I'm flying straight and level, which is always a danger, but I don't see any enemies on this map that are behind me. Now we'll just kind of zoom in on this thing. It's got to be close to the convergence point. Trying to remember what it was set to. Shit, I'm reloading. I'm out of ammo! That's dumb. I don't think British bomber pilots ever, or fighter pilots, had to worry about reloading. Oh boy, I'm gonna crash. Ah! Getting chewed apart by its bullets, and the other thing with this game is as you fly, as you take damage, your aircraft sort of gradually starts becoming less effective. I can't turn or bank quickly at the moment because of the damage I've taken. Alright, so need to get up to full speed. This thing's flying faster than we are. We're only making 140 miles an hour, and he's closing in on the bombing target. There's only one of them left, but it doesn't look like any of my allies are left. We've got a German fighter behind us, too.
I need help. Oh no.
Obviously losing speed. No! He's gonna get to the target before I can get him. Alright, looks like my wingman or someone in blue came behind me to break him off, but he's getting shot to pieces. I think he just got shot down. And we're only making 100 some odd miles an hour. Can we speed this thing up, please? Oh no, the engine! The engine stopped. The engine overheated. Yeah, there's no way. I can't hit him from this far out. So the engine's going again. We're only making 60 miles an hour. How did we not stall yet? Any chance I can hit him from way out here? You can see the flak is kind of popping up around the lone enemy bomber. I'm only making 68 miles an hour, and yet I'm still flying. I should totally be stalling and falling out of the sky. But okay. There you go. He dropped his bombs. So we get the option of restarting the mission anytime you fail. There's no real dynamic element. This is, again, a quasi-RPG / flight sim. So you're trying to follow the story of this particular Polish pilot and within the realm of the 303 Squadron. So if you fail, you have to redo the missions until you succeed. And I'm just apparently not very good at this. Alright, so we got that one. I'm not sure if it was me or my allies. In the event, we took out one with the opening pass. We'll swing around, see if we can get a second. Tons of enemy fire from these bombers coming in. Whoa! Getting hit. My engine took a hit there. You can see there was a bullet there in the front, just in front of the cockpit. Enemy fighters, the bombers, they're about 1,000 yards. Engine's starting to run a little bit rough. Jesus, these guys are accurate fucking rear gunners. There you go. Now we're going to get to see this whole little spiel as I apparently hit the engine. I don't want to see this. I really have no desire. I'm still flying, so I guess we can kind of try and turn and pull around. And maybe get out of here so we're not getting hit while... Oh, no, it does. So it must pause it a little bit because I was trying to turn and I couldn't. We've got 2 bombers left. My aircraft's still in decent shape. You can see the fighters there over by one of our fighters. Closing it here about 1,000 yards off. I'm going to reload as I'm closing here. I probably should have reloaded when I was turning, but at least realistically I'm not going to hit anything from back here. Reloading happens pretty quick. I just find it amusing, like, what am I doing? Going and getting out on the wing and, like, you know, putting a new belt on from the wing. How's this guy not shot down yet? I just got, like, good hits on both engines. And we're taking all sorts of damage. Good God. Again, approaching straight from the tail, straight and level. Bad idea. Engine's overheating. I wasn't even running at 100% throttle. Or why it overheated. Try and max the engine out around 80%. You can see speeds climbing. BF-109 just screaming in front of us. Looked like its engine or wing might have been slightly on fire. Definitely enemy fighters behind us, but there is one of our friendlies back there to hopefully distract them a bit. Black opening up on the bombers. like Flak took one of them out. That is the interesting thing that I do like about this game, is it doesn't feel like I have to do all the work. There you go. Look for wreckage. Okay. Where it's like, you know, I shot down at least one, maybe two of those planes, but anti-aircraft fire and my own teammates, if you will, did some damage as well. So that's the other kind of interesting and kind of neat thing about this. It's not scripted so that you have to win. Obviously, we didn't win the first time around, and I've lost more than once in a row. So, you know, there is a damage model that those aircraft are under, and then things like flak and things like your allies and your own plane definitely does influence that. So my assumption is, you know, we had hit one of those bombers pretty heavily in a previous strafing run. My guess is it was almost dead, and those flak puffs just kind of finished it off. But that does add a nice little element to the game where there's sort of this additional piece of, you know, you don't have to be superhero to win all of these battles here. It's a little bit more scripted than I would like, and I still plan on showing some IL-2 on the channel. I just haven't had a lot of time. This is frankly easier to just pick up and play than something like IL-2, but it is something I do plan to show a little more of. I'm trying to figure out if I want to continue showing more of this game or not. It's interesting. I like flying the Hurricane. There's not a lot of game, like most games seem to really focus. I know Cliffs of Dover is a little bit different, but most, when you think about the Battle of Britain, you think of the Spitfire. You don't think of the Hurricane, but the Hurricane was still the main British frontline fighter at the time, and it was used principally for going after the bombers. 303 Squadron flew the Hurricane, but it's, you know, it was a good little aircraft at the time. You can see the game is still in early access, so we're at 1.25, the version of the game. It does say early access there on the bottom. And yeah, so we're flying back to the waypoint. Wants us to look for wreckage, though. So I assume that was at the waypoint. I don't know if we actually have to fly around and look for wreckage on the deck or not, or if we really should just be flying for the waypoint. So I guess we'll go for the waypoint. Our jumper landed on a tree, but he's waving at me. Plane down. Probably wanted to promote the British idea of this. Barbecue? What? Okay. In any event, mission successful. Back to the airfield. Score 5. Okay. To civilians, idea of taking down slow bomber with nimble fighters might have seemed like an unfair form of sport until those civilians are the target of those bombers. But we fend the foe. I don't know. I'm speaking like this. Okay. What about getting drunk? Again, back to sort of the RPG element of this game. I need to go talk to Miroslav. Or Miroslav. Walk past him? You're not Miroslav. There he is. So sort of post-flight celebration party, maybe the officers club.
Second official combat mission and so many aircraft shut down. Today looks good in our record.
Hey, your mouth isn't moving. How are you talking? Oh, that was me. Okay, never mind.
I wish you wrote only about the happy landings and beautifully deployed parachutes in the worst case scenario.
And British people refraining from beating us to death with their shovels. I heard civilians almost killed one of the British airmen last week, thinking he was a Fritz.
Jeez. Go to sleep and proceed to the next day. Yeah, I always, speaking a few minutes ago, in attempting an accent, you know, these are Polish airmen, so trying to speak in an accent makes, I guess, a little bit of sense. But what I will say is I should really refrain from doing that because I think my accents are generally so bad that if I try and do an accent of any particular game or character that I'm playing, it will probably just come out wrong and sound horribly, intentionally terrible. I don't know where I'm going. Like, I'm supposed to go to sleep, but I don't really see... Like, okay, so there's this little text bubble. That who I want to talk to? Or I can talk to him. But didn't we already do that? Or was it... Oh, yeah. Okay. Where do I sleep? I don't know my way around this map. What can we read over here? Another little book or item to look at? Maintaining an altitude is one of the most important rules of aerial combat. Being higher grants the ability to gather energy for attack and more room for maneuver, as it is easier to fly downward than climb. Okay, so basic flying principles. I had an actual barracks where I could sleep. But I don't see where... Oh, wait, no. It's showing me now. Got the little arrow. I don't remember that arrow being there before. Oh, wait, that's where my plane is, isn't it? Looks like a plane icon. Unless for some strange reason my barracks uses a... That's weird. Oh, wait, I don't need to go to church. Maybe I do. I just killed Germans. Area will be unlocked in next stage of early access. Okay. Still looking for a bed here. Another day of life. Say pilots when they are on release. There is very little unpleasant superstition that many pilots will die the first day they return to combat after release. Superstitions are part of pilot life. One should never succumb to them, though. Okay. Alright, here's my bed. My bed. Select game mode. I'm just sleeping, aren't I? Or is that a scramble? Is that a scramble thing for bed? The cap trap. We, the pilots, develop many skills throughout our careers. Not only are we becoming proficient in maneuvering the aircraft or attacking the enemies, but we also gain the skill of observation. Sometimes develops into an impression intuition, but no genius. Confused. Guess we are intercepting the enemy. Okay, so it was trying to tell us to go to sleep, but then apparently it's scrambled. So one thing I think this game could do a better job of is merging the fighting with the... Oh, God! Ah! We collided! Alright, well, I'm not going to fight another battle right now. One thing I think this game could do a better job of doing is sort of merging the RPG element around the airfield, which is really cool. Like, I kind of struggle because it's not an in-depth flight sim. It's not really an RPG. But I do appreciate the idea of having this fully recreated historical airfield that you can navigate around and interact with people. The problem is it seems so divorced from the gameplay that it just doesn't fit well. The idea that, like, I'm going to bed and now all of a sudden I'm in an air battle again is just weird. Like, if they want to do a scramble, it would be a really interesting and unique thing that they could do, where you could have a bell ringing like you heard. You have to race to the actual runway where your plane is. Maybe your plane is starting to turn on. You're riding a bicycle out there. Maybe everybody else is running to their plane all around you while you're doing that, sort of experiencing a scramble. Like, that could be a really cool element. And then you get to the cockpit, and then it brings you into the actual, like, okay, whatever. Maybe even having you take off rather than starting in the air. But rather than that, the game just kind of says, go to bed. Oh, here's a bell. Oh, you're actually flying. You're not sleeping. Like, that's a little disappointing. You know, it makes the RPG side of things just feel bolted on rather than, like, genuinely designed as a part of this holistic solution, but we'll see. Again, the game's in early access, so things could change. I was really just showing the fact that, hey, they have joystick support. The flight model is a little bit weird. You saw we were flying at like 60 miles an hour when I think the Hurricane would probably stalled out at that speed. We were actually below 60 miles an hour, so maybe the aerodynamics may need a little bit of work as well still, but anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. 303 Squadron, Battle of Britain, currently in early access, looks at the Polish squadron, the third 303 Squadron that fought in the Battle of Britain with Hawker Hurricanes, puts you in the shoes of one of the pilots as you fight through, I believe, some of the historical engagements that they fought through, and overall interesting concept, some flaws, but still in development. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching. I'm out.